Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another Permian Basin Adult Literacy Center informational live stream. As always, we want to thank Frost Bank for sponsoring all of our 2024 informational live streams this year. Our focus for today's informational live stream is legal literacy. It's always a popular live stream because legal matters are sometimes difficult to understand. So today we welcome Pete Fierro with Legal Aid of Odessa to discuss legal literacy and to discuss a little bit about what legal aid does for the community. Thank you, Pete. I know you've been our guest before, and we're so happy to welcome you back today.
Thanks. And it's always grateful to be back. So thank you for allowing me to just a few minutes to just spend some time with you.
Absolutely. So start off by telling our viewers and followers about yourself and a little bit by yourself and then tell them about legal aid.
Okay. Well, let's see. My name is Pete Fierro. I am the Equal Justice Volunteer Program coordinator with Legal Aid of Northwest Texas. I've been here going almost about maybe 19 years. I am not a lawyer. I got to put it out there. I'm not a lawyer. I got my undergraduate degree in psychology. Uh, so I guess it's sort of hand in hand. I like helping people. I love what I'm doing. I wear many hats, and I guess as we go into more detail about what legal aid is and what my role is, but I usually out in the community, you may see me at an event. You may see me at a booth or at a resource event, and I um, just basically share information of who we are, how do you get your foot in the door, the kind of services we provide, maybe dispel any rumors that you might have heard about legal aid, and go in and tell you just sort of how do you get in the door, what's the process. Most individuals think, with legal problems, you sort of make an application and you go to court and it's solved the next day. And my job is to sort of talk to these individuals, whether it be one person or a group, and sort of talk to them about how our organization operates versus maybe going down the street and speaking to a private attorney. So, but
Absolutely.
yeah.
So tell our viewers, what is legal aid? Why was it started? And what does legal aid provide?
Legal aid is we provide free civil legal assistance. We have 14 branch offices, not just Midland, Odessa, but we have, um, let me start up with the map. Odessa, Midland, Lubbock, Plainview, Amarillo, Dallas, Fort Worth, Denton, Waxahachie, San Angelo, Brownwood. So we have 14 offices. Now, if you look at the state of Texas and you were to divide it sort of like in a pie, anything from, let's say, Monahans up to Amarillo to the east, Dallas, Fort Worth, and a little down farther below. That's the organization which is what I work for, Legal Aid of Northwest Texas. Anything past Monahans to El Paso down to the valley, that is covered by an agency called Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid. And anything sort of central Houston up in that area is Lone Star Legal Aid. So we provide free civil legal assistance. I always say assistance mean many different words because legal aid, you can come to legal aid and get a consultation. You can ask for assistance in reading documents, filling out documents, preparing documents to full representation in court. So legal assistance can mean many things depending on the scope of the work that our attorneys provide. Now, we are free. We get funded by grants and the Legal Service Corporation. So we are a nonprofit agency. If Legal Aid decides to represent you, or if a pro bono attorney decides to offer their assistance to you, you are paying nothing. If you go and speak to Legal Aid for a consultation, it is free. The difference is you go see a private attorney, they may charge you, they may not for that consultation. Or, when you get in the door and you get that first consultation, it's free. If we take your case, it's free. We are free legal aid. However, our Odessa office covers 6 counties, and our Midland office covers 6 counties. So there's a lot of people who are applying for that free civil legal assistance.
And just because I know you spoke about this in a previous live stream that you joined us, is that just because you apply for through legal aid doesn't necessarily mean that you will be chosen.
Right. Now, in our office, we have maybe 3 attorneys. I think in Odessa, there may be four attorneys in one office, 3 attorneys in another, full-time staff, 6 counties, free legal aid. The demand for our services far exceeds what we can do. It's just physically impossible to take every case. Now, every week, every Friday of every week, the attorneys, they go through every single application. People think we don't. They didn't take my case, and that's simply not the case. We discuss the merits of the case, and as much as we want to, we just don't. And that's part of that hat that I wear, is I sort of help with the overflow of cases. Let's say there's a case that, for whatever reason, they're on vacation, they're in court, they're whatever their caseload looks like that moment. They may give it to me and say, Pete, you go out in the community, go see if you can secure a volunteer attorney to take these cases pro bono. And that's what I do. But I only do that when that case is given to me. And a lot of times people who have heard about legal aid, who have heard of pro bono, think I was told to come into legal aid and I could get a pro bono, and that's like, not yet.
That's not how it works. Yeah.
That's not how it works.
That's not
Yes,
the
I am the
process.
pro bono coordinator, but there's still a process. And so it goes back to that. What is that legal assistance we can provide to you in the moment that you're, applying for our services? So that's why I say the word, we provide free civil legal assistance. That can mean many different things, and it just really depends. I don't make those decisions. The attorneys who are in those staffing meetings make that decision. But yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, we just cannot just take every single case. We try, but we just can't.
And a lot of people don't understand what the word pro bono means. So pro bono means that these attorneys that are working with legal aid, they're providing their services for free.
Yeah,
And so they're not being paid. And so they can only take so many cases as well.
Yeah. And my thing is, there's over 300 attorneys in Midland. There are attorneys in Odessa, and so my job is to go and find those attorneys who have the time or want to, devote their time, their resources, like you're right, their secretary, their office equipment, their office space. My job is to convince Alba, take my case, help one of my clients, and this is the reason why you should. There's nothing that says they have to. And I always describe this as, when I'm talking to someone that I've placed with this, that should already tell you the type of person that attorney is, that they are doing so out of the kindness of their heart to help you, help me. But on the flip side is, yeah, you're right. They've got their own clients. They've got their own staff. They also have to make money as well. They've got to, they have their own bills. And so the ones that do, and I've been doing this a long time, and I love my Midland and Odessa legal community so much, because they've just helped hundreds, if not hundreds, over my lifetime. So they do that. It's just I may get time when they just can't, and so I just sort of have to move on to the next one. But there's no guarantee that they're going to take it, though. I could strike out, and talk to 3 attorneys, and they could all, for various reasons, say, not this week.
And it might be like, I want to, but I have a huge caseload of my own at my that I have to handle right now, and I just can't take any cases this year. But they may be willing to do it the next year or something like that. But and also, I want you to educate our viewers and our followers also that legal aid, there are certain cases that they will not take. Like, for example, like divorce cases. Most divorce cases, y'all won't take applications for that. So can you speak a little bit about that?
Sure. We do take civil. Now, civil is a word that can mean many different various legal issues. I mean, I could go through the whole alphabet. Let's just start with the cases we don't take. We don't take criminal right off the bat. We don't do criminal. We don't take the cases. And perfect example is you're driving down the interstate and you see those billboards that say injured on the job, been in an accident. We don't take those cases because in those instances, you're asking for monetary damages. I go outside of the parking lot, trip and fall, and now I want to sue the city. We don't do those cases. We don't do a lot of immigration. There's some domestic violence, maybe quite possibly, yes, under different grants. We don't do those cases. We don't, those instances where you see Judge Judy and you have the plaintiff and the defendant, you never see them walk in with an attorney. Those
Yeah.
are the kind of cases that we don't do. On the civil side, we do a lot of family law, but and that's the misconception is legal aid only does divorces or they only help with custody, and that's simply not the case. Adoptions, bankruptcies, consumer debt, foreclosures, guardianships, name changes, estate planning documents, some social security, paternity, custody, divorces, protective orders, restraining orders, you name it, contracts. So there's a whole gamut of just that civil thing that we can do. And I always tell people, you never know until you apply, and maybe there'd be a branch off of maybe that legal issue that you have, like maybe getting a birth certificate, getting an occupational driver's license, getting an expungement. So it just depends, what it is what kind of legal problem you have that we
Okay.
can help with.
And so if if a potential client, what's the process to apply? Can they apply online? Do they have to walk into an office to apply?
So you can apply online. We do have our website. You can apply online. However, the applications for online are all the civil cases except family law. If it is a family law case, you need to apply directly at the office or over the phone. So online, you can do much of any other legal issue you have, civil. And also, if you have, and because I look at it the other day, I was helping someone in our office that asked two questions. Is like, have you been served or do you have a hearing? In those instances where you sort of like check a yes, or you have a legal deadline and you've checked a yes, on those instances, it's going to stop and you're going to have to contact our office or make an application over the phone. So our offices are open to the public. They do walk in, depending on which office are applying. Certainly, we can schedule you for an appointment over the phone. I think in Midland, it's on Tuesday. Odessa, I think it's Thursday. And the thing about walking in is, I want to speak to a lawyer now. It's an emergency. I needed to speak to an attorney yesterday, and an emergency for you, Alba, may be an emergency, what we consider an emergency. So we really got to figure out is, who are you? Why are you in here? What happened? When did it happen? Figure out all of that, and then give you the options. Do you want an appointment for next week because it's Tuesday? So, do you want an appointment for next Tuesday, or do you want to? You can go online if it's a non-family case. We have a hotline that they can call Monday through Friday. We give them options for them to apply, not just sorry, you're one and a done, or they may be come in with an issue, like I said, that falls outside of what we do, and then we give them this state bar number. But we try to work with them. It's just, unfortunately, everyone who walks in, it's an emergency, and I need to speak to someone now. And that's simply not the case. You may do that at another law firm, but with anything, mostly in life, you do have to make an appointment. You just don't walk in.
And besides that, that's not the way the process works. Is you have to fill out an application, and then we have to process the application and then determine whether we're even going to take your case or not. So you may not,
it's a process.
we may not even take your case. Period.
And I always tell people we're putting the cart before the horse. You just got to get your foot in the door. You got to get that appointment. You've got to get that consultation. But people already think like, you're not going to take my case. Like, we're not even there yet. Let's get you in the door. Let's have you apply. But, they just automatically assume, well, you're not going to be able to help me anyway, so why apply? And that's simply not the case. I always tell people, inquiring about legal aid, the keyword is patience. You just gotta have patience. Just again, our staff, 6 counties. You can imagine how many people are walking in, calling. It just doesn't stop. And so we've got to have a streamlined process in order to talk to these individuals. And that's why those procedures are set in place, because we just have so many people, whether it be Midland, Odessa, San Angelo. Every office has their own specific way of talking to applicants.
Mm-hmm. And so, we're an adult literacy organization. So I want to talk a little bit about the importance. And we were talking offline before we went live about the importance of how important it is to have some literacy skills when you're navigating any kind of legal proceedings. And so I want you to share the story of, some of your clients that have a hard time. They can't, they either don't know, they don't speak or read English, or they don't even speak and read their own language, or, they have very limited reading and writing skills. And it's even harder for them to navigate, uh, the legal, the legalities of of the legal system.
Yeah, I think you just mentioned. I think you just gave my presentation, because like, where do you even start?
Mhm,
It starts off with just simply whether you're buying a house or an apartment, getting a car, whether it's signing up for some sort of service or anything like that. Have you read the document? Do you understand
mhm,
the document? Do you know what the document entails? It can be simply you get a document, you've been served, maybe through no fault of your own. You're the one that's on the opposite end, and someone shows up at your house with these documents, or sometimes, unfortunately, someone who is an interested party may sue you and say, what, we can avoid court altogether if you'll just sign these documents and we'll make it go away. And
mhm,
unfortunately, most people want to just sort of make it go away and just give me documents and I'll sign where you want me to sign, without
mhm.
really reading the document. And I come in after the fact. So the people who are coming into my office have done that, didn't read
They've
it,
already read. They've
never
already
read it,
signed a document.
already
They're like,
signed
"Oh
it.
no, I can't. I
Have
can't believe I did this."
Yeah, and I actually had someone say that in front of her family, and they were shocked that she didn't read it. She just sort of signed it. And I think there's a difference between, but you're saying, Pete, just sign it and I'll give you what you want. Or if you sign it, I'm going to give you exactly what you want. And you do. I'm taking you at your word. But
Mhm,
what your word versus what's really on paper are two different things.
mhm.
And so unless you've read that documents in its entirely, um, you just, and again, we come to the very end where, cars get taken away, houses get taken away, bank accounts are being cleaned out. And so and that's the thing I always,
And-
well, when I'm in the community, it's just,
yeah.
if you get a document, and I
And what
think
do you say to the Pete? Like, what do you say to those individuals that say, "But Pete, these documents are so confusing, and I don't understand, and I was confused and flustered." It, I would say take a step back. There's organizations like Legal Aid and other organizations that will help you understand, because I know um, there's a lot of complexities in the legal
Mhm.
system and
Yeah.
legal wording that even people that are well educated and have strong literacy skills and understand and know how to speak and read in English, they are sometimes confused with all the legalities. So I would say, what do you recommend to those individuals? Like, take
No,
a step back,
take a step back
take a
and
breath.
take a breath. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure you have that document. I mean, I've had
Mhm,
people that have given away a house and have no proof of what they gave. So whether you did something, you signed something, you shouldn't have signed something, you haven't signed something, you've got to reach out to Alba. Oh my God, who's that guy that talked to us about that? reach out to Alba, she can reach out
Uh-huh.
to me. And I think
Yes.
it's just, if you don't know,
Reach out to
contact legal
somebody
aid.
that you
Reach out to
trust and say,
somebody. Yeah.
"Hey, I got this document. I don't understand it. I don't know how to, I don't speak English. I don't know how to read and write very well. Do you know somebody that can help me?" And I'm like, "Oh, yes. You know, reach out to legal aid or reach out to, this attorney or this attorney. They will give you a free consultation and help you, you know, tell you
And,
what this document
and
says
I,
before signing
now,
anything, before doing anything."
and I think it's important. Like, well, I went to my neighbor and my neighbor read, and it's fine and dandy. But again, what is a document requesting of you, or what are they
Mhm.
wanting? What are you? Uh, what is it that do you require the assistance of? Because you could read the document and say, okay, this is
Yes.
what it's telling you to do, but is it something more where, like, what? I may say, what? Even I don't know, but I'll
Mhm.
be, what? Let me set you up an appointment and speak to an attorney,
Mhm.
because there's a reason why you got that document, and so we've got to figure out the who, what, where, when, and how. Because I can read the document, I can tell you what it says, but most of the time they want the advice, like, what should I do?
Mhm.
And again, I'm not an attorney. I cannot tell you what to do. I can read it, and I think I know what it means, but again, you want the
Expertise.
expertise of an
Mhm.
attorney to really tell you, what is it that you've done or will do, or the outcome of signing it.
Mhm.
And whether it be one page, and that's what I always tell people, whether it's one page, one question, call us, because it's not going to hurt. Again, it free legal aid, free legal
Yes.
assistance. Again, legal assistance can mean you show us a document, ask questions about the document. I had someone whose father passed away, and they've got a will. They can't make heads or tails out of the will. Okay,
Mhm.
make an appointment, because it affects the beneficiaries, the executors, it affects what happens to the estate. So
Yeah.
again, reach out to you. If anything, and I hate to say, reach out to Alba, but
Yeah.
reach out to Alba, who was, send me names and number, and I will be more than happy to contact you. But in that moment, we do have that hotline. We do have, that online. There are different ways. If anything, okay, legal aid, go online, legal aid, and that's how people find me. 9 times out of 10, that's the first question: is how did you, I got the documents. How did you know to contact me? I went online, or I looked legal
Mhm.
aid, and there we are. So,
Yeah.
right.
Because, like you said, it's like your neighbor is not an attorney, or maybe they may happen to be an attorney, but for the most part, your neighbors or your friends are not attorneys, and so they're not experts. So, reach out to organizations in the community or somebody that you trust and say, "Hey, I got this document. I need some expertise on how to read this, and what this means," and then they will refer you to the experts.
Well, yeah,
So
because
that.
just because you maybe say, well, my friend, it happened to my friend, so my friend said this, and that may be fine and dandy, but you and your friend may have the different issues, same
Mhm.
situation but different issues,
Yes.
and so again, reach out to an experienced attorney, or to legal aid, because that's the first question I ask. That's literally the first question I ask Alba is, who
Mhm.
told you this? My
Yes.
neighbor, a
And
cousin. And I'm like, did an attorney tell you this? And they're like, no. I go, you
yeah.
know
And that's another important thing to point out too, is that, well, my cousin had the same exact thing happen to them, and this is how they handled it. I'm like, well, in their case, may not be identical. There may
mhm,
be little things that are different. And so that's his results with his case. You're going to
mhm,
get probably different results with your case.
exactly. That's so better be safe than sorry. So again, reach out,
And
me.
so,
You know what I mean?
and that leads us into what is the best way? Um, what is your advice and the best way to seek for people to seek legal advice? It's like, do they go online and just search for anybody, or how do they do that?
Well,
Because that's difficult
I mean, yeah,
navigating it
that's
too. It's
okay.
like,
I was just
how do
trying
I
to,
find an attorney?
right.
How do I?
And so I want to be very careful when I answer this question because, Legal Aid of Northwest Texas, we do have a website. So if you were to, and I've had this before again, where people type, free legal aid. You know how
Mhm.
many free legal aid sites are going to pop up?
Yeah.
At the very beginning, I said legal aid provides free civil legal assistance, free. So
Mhm.
right off the bat, someone will come in and say, I spoke to legal aid and I paid them $200 and they did nothing. I said, then you did not contact legal aid.
Yeah.
You contacted another free legal aid wherever you did, whether or some magazine or some newspaper. Do your own kit, do your own divorce, do free
Mhm.
this, pay for that, do it yourself type of documents. And so again, Legal Aid of Northwest Texas. Remember that Legal Aid of Northwest Texas because again, legal aid is not going to ask for $200 up front.
Mhm.
So, you know what I mean? Like, because they're
Yeah.
out there and they can be confusing. So, if you just put Legal Aid Texas, free lawyer, be very mindful of the searches that you do when you're trying to
Mhm.
find a free lawyer because really they're not
Yeah.
really free and they're probably just going to take your money, which is
Mhm.
what a lot of times a lot of happens. So, Legal Aid of Northwest Texas, that's,
And we'll
and I
put that
think,
in the comments
yeah,
afterwards too,
we have
so
a
people
website.
can.
So, yeah.
And so, how do you? What advice do you give to individuals that they sought out legal aid, but legal aid unfortunately wasn't able to take their case? Does legal aid provide assistance in helping them search for a good attorney?
It depends. There could be many different scenarios.
Hmm.
Let's say the first instance that we just simply don't have limited resources. Limited resources means at that given moment, unfortunately, legal aid could not take your case.
Hmm.
Okay, that's just limit. That's what it doesn't mean that we ran out of money. We don't have an attorney. We haven't hired an attorney. That just means in that given moment we couldn't take your case. A lot of times we will provide advice. You will get it. That's how we notify everyone. We give you advice.
Hmm.
Now, that advice album may tell you apply with legal aid. Unfortunately, legal aid could not help you. However, we suggest you do A, B, C, D, and E.
Okay.
Okay. And they will tell you what to do. Do A, B, C, D, or E. Okay. A lot of times, unfortunately, people get that letter, think it's a Dear John letter, tear it up, throw it in the trash, come back a week later and say, y'all didn't take my case. I want to reapply. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, what did the letter say? The first question I'm going to ask you, did you read the letter? Did you get the letter and did you read it? That's the
Yes.
first question I'm going to ask you if you come to the window or to the office because I will know what the letter said. I know what they told you. I know what you told them. And Alba, if you got that letter and said, Alba, we couldn't take your case. However, locate your spouse, cooperate with the attorney general, get some stability, da, 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 da. And I'll say,
Hmm.
okay, Alba, did you? Have you? And
Hmm.
you say, yes, I did everything. Okay, guess what? You read the letter, you did what you're supposed to do, and you want us to take another look at it, to reconsider your case, to um, okay, you know
Legal
what?
aid might be more willing to reconsider
Right. Now,
your
whether we take your case
application.
or not, I don't know. Just because you did all of that, again,
Hmm.
that's what that shows us is that you got the
You,
letter and
you took initiative.
you took
Yeah.
initiative, and you want this, you want to get a step closer to resolving your legal matter. If you
Yes.
simply say, I just didn't do it, I didn't read it, I chunked it away, we're no better. We haven't gotten any further than where we are at the very beginning. So,
Hmm.
if anything, again, that's the first question: is did you get the letter and did you read it? Because a lot of times those letters tell you what to do. Because sometimes those issues can get resolved by you doing what the lawyer told you to do,
Hmm.
or sometimes it gets you a step closer into us maybe being able to help you the next go around. But first thing you just got to read the letter and tell you do what the letter tells you to do. And if you don't read the letter, if you don't understand it, find someone to reach that letter, call us, and you know what I mean. But don't just they didn't help me. There's going to be a reason why we
Yes.
didn't take your case, but it's also going to tell you what you should do going forward.
Yeah.
Now, but we also included, if you want this, whether assistance, please contact the state bar for further assistance. So we put that in a letter so they can also go that route as well. Just contact
And
the state
if
bar.
you search on the state bar, those are attorneys that are certified through the bar association,
Mhm.
and they're not I
Yeah,
say
they
quality attorneys.
right.
Yeah,
They are there. Anyone who's a licensed attorney is in there, and it says for the public, and you just type in Midland or you type Odessa, maybe the type of this type of attorney you need. Then it's going to give you their contact information as well.
perfect. Now, I want to touch very briefly because this seems to be a huge problem in the Permian Basin, is that unfortunately, many individuals reach out to the Mexican Notario Público for legal assistance. And so, can you touch briefly on why in the United States they should not utilize the Mexican Notario Público for legal advice?
For this reason right here, I'm a notario. I'm a notary,
Hmm.
but I'm also not an attorney.
Yeah.
My job is to make sure, Alba, that this is your signature. You are Alba signing these documents, that I verified you as Alba, the person who signed your name on those documents. That's what I do as a notary. Okay.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, people they're all over, and because they come from Mexico, they say, well, they're an attorney, they're a notario. I went there, they gave me advice, they filled out the documents, they did whatever, they drafted them or they executed whatever. But Mexican law is different from Texas law, which is different from United States law.
Yep.
So since I don't work for them, I can't speak for them, but I will tell you that there's that confusion of, I went to a notario. And again, my first question is going to be, Alba, is that the information that you got, Alba, is that a licensed attorney from Texas or New Mexico or wherever?
No, it's a notario. And I'm like,
Notario.
a notario is not an attorney.
And I did, and I do that for that reason. And I'd say I'm a notary, but my job as notary here in the United States, in Texas, is to, verify that you're that person that I'm doing documents for. I am not a paralegal, so I don't even draft documents. That's why we have paralegals to do the work for the attorneys. And
Hmm.
so, again, I don't work for them. I don't know the work that they provide, and that's, unfortunately, the laws between Texas and Mexico. Again, did an attorney tell you this? And,
Yes.
I'll let the attorneys go in more detail about maybe the misinformation that they heard, or they can make sense of what they did or what they were trying to do. But you know unfortunately, yeah, it happens. We get that
Yeah.
a lot. But we're not going to not talk to them just because they went there. It's just, okay, what
Yeah.
did they do? What
Yeah.
was Why did you go there? What did they do? When did you do it?
This
All of
may
that.
have even damaged your case more.
Yeah,
So
again, did
we
you file
gotta
it? Did
take a
you
look
take
at
it?
it.
Yeah, we want to take a look at it, but I get it, and they're all over, but they have a job to do, as do we. But unfortunately, I work on this side of
Yeah.
the gamut of providing legal assistance.
Yeah. And then it's also important to explain that even if you sought out a Mexican attorney, that is a legit attorney in Mexico that took your case, that doesn't necessarily mean that your case is resolved, because, like you mentioned, uh, uh, the legal system in Mexico and in other countries is very different from the U.S. And even in the U.S., from state to state, um,
Hmm.
uh, the legal system is very different. So you got to remember that as well.
Yeah,
So
because
another reason why it's so important to seek out legal advice.
well, for the reason, let's say, for instance, they want to get the divorce, but they came here and they've lived here, but they've got houses in Mexico, or things happen in Mexico or whatever. And I'm like, well, our job is really just to sort of talk about here in the United States, because of the laws and nationalities. Like, we are talking about any property you have here
Mm-hmm.
in the United
Yeah.
States, in Midland or Odessa or wherever, not Chihuahua or wherever, Juarez or Ojinaga, it's what property do you have here in the United States? Because a lot of
Exactly.
times that's what happens is they want to consolidate all the property,
Hmm.
when they're trying to do whatever they're trying to do here in Texas. But
Yep.
that's different laws.
Well, legal aid, of course, is a great resources, is a great source for legal advice, and just a great resources for the communities in Texas. And so we're so appreciative of the work that you and your attorneys do, Pete. And we appreciate everything that you do for the community. Is there any last advice or information that you would like to share with our viewers?
No, I think if at the end of the podcast or this video, you have my contact information. By all means, please, put it out there or share it with your whoever's watching this or in your media contacts because um, I think people, okay, like, oh, okay, maybe they don't need the help, but maybe they know someone who does, and that person,
Mhm.
they exist. And that's really what I try to do is to educate the public that of who we are and what we do. Uh, but the job that you do is more important because you probably reach more of the masses, more of individuals that probably I don't encounter,
Mhm.
who you probably see more than me. And so I think to be able to share that information of what you do and what I do, um, and to at the end of the day, just how about they may not even
Mhm.
need my help right now, but
Mhm.
hopefully down the line, 3 months from now, next year, how about who was that person that spoke about? I can't remember his name. I can't remember that organization because you're right. No one ever wants to need an attorney.
Right.
You know, Unfortunately, um, we do provide that service, but whether it be, for you, your neighbor, a family member, a coworker, uh,
But when you do, it's important
it's
that there's
important to know
organizations like
who you
yours.
contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, to be
Yeah.
proactive. Before you read that when you're reading the document, when you're signing that document, when you're fixing to sign the document, if someone is coercing you to signing that document, and you
Mhm.
know,
Or you
if
don't
anything,
understand it,
if you don't
or
understand that document, reach out to me. Is it too late after the fact? Not all the times, but at least we can try to figure out what can be done after the fact.
let's
Unfortunately,
prevent the
let's
problem.
prevent that.
Yeah.
But it does
Yeah.
happen. But again, the attorneys are going to have to try to figure out, okay, is there some resolution or some way to undo what's been done? But we want to be proactive and not get there and be very conscious of who we what we're doing before we put pen to paper and you know I hate to sign our life away, but yeah,
Yeah.
just reach out to us. I always tell people, even
and
if it's
and
last one
and don't be
question.
intimidated.
No,
I want to tell my our viewers and our listeners, don't be intimidated. Pete is a great guy, and I know the lady in the middle office, and she's wonderful, and everybody at Legal Aid is wonderful. They're here to help you.
yeah, most definitely. I mean, that's what we do. That's what we do for a living, and it can be intimidating. You get that letter in the mail. You again. I agree with totally what you said. I think when you get that letter in the mail or in person, breathe.
Hmm.
What do I do? Start thinking. Okay, logically. Okay, what do I need to do?
Don't
Okay,
panic.
don't panic. Do not panic. But Pete said it wasn't an emergency. Well, you know what? If you think it isn't, come to our office
Hmm.
and we will try to figure out whether it is, because we got to know, do you have a deadline? And let us do the panicking for you.
Yeah.
Let us try to figure that out. But again, breathe, read it. You don't read it, you haven't read it, don't understand it. Don't just start making decisions that are going to affect you. Just really reach out to me or to your organization in general, and
Hmm.
you know,
To
and that.
a community organization, a
And
nonprofit
because we all work with each
in the
other, they
community.
all
Hmm.
know, not to say they all know how to contact me, but just
We're all here to help
right,
community
we're all here to
members.
help you. Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I don't know the answer, then I reach out to all. But if you don't know the answer, reach out to me. Well, we're gonna find an answer, one
Yeah.
way or another. And
Yeah.
like I said, there's just because Ligway couldn't help you, there's gonna be other ways to for us to be able to
Other
assist
other
you, or refer
Maybe
you, or
other, yeah, other ways to help you,
resources,
or other advice.
other resources, other agencies.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you again, Pete, for joining us today for our live stream and providing such essential legal literacy education, and for telling us about this great resource that we have in the community called Legal Aid. And we're always happy to have us join us to educate and inform the community. And if there's nothing else that, no, I don't think we got any questions, but we'll post legal aid website and legal aid information on our comments after the live stream. But otherwise, thank you again, Pete, for
Okay.
joining us.
All
And
right.
we will see everyone next time for another
Okay. It's a
PBALC.
pleasure.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.